Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. In today's video, we're going to be going over not a whole lot. This is going to be a particularly short episode, and that will be made apparently clear in the episode after this. But opening up, we have a battle to fight against the Britons. Now this is going to be a pretty interesting battle, mainly because it is two armies, one that I will be controlling, and then we have a second army coming in as reinforcements. So that is pretty interesting. You know, those those always make for pretty interesting battles. Actually, I think it's been a long time since we've actually had a full-on proper battle that we fought out like this, with reinforcements coming in, controlled by the AI. I believe it reminds me of the one battle early on in this series where the Scipii, we were fighting in North Africa against the Carthaginians, and the Scipii had a force that was coming in to reinforce us. I do kind of recall that battle, and I think that's the only one that we've actually had like this. I can't remember any others. But as you see, I am deploying in my standard checkered formation, and we are keeping our cavalry on the wings, so to say, on our flanks to kind of protect them. Again, I really love having cavalry. Honestly, having a lot of cavalry isn't that useful, at least not to me. I don't really use my cavalry all that effectively when I have a whole bunch of them, besides just using more of them to do, it's just more to do the normal job. So, but it is very useful to have at least 2 units. And as you actually see there, I do make a slight change at the end. I shift over to having 2 units of cavalry on my left flank, and I did kind of keep my general more on my right. In hindsight, again, probably would have just been better to keep 1 unit on the right, 1 unit of cavalry on the right, but either way, I did it differently this time. So, and I think actually one of the reasons I did that was because at the time, I'd come off of fighting a lot of battles against with armies where I didn't have any infantry. I only had infantry and I didn't have any cavalry, so I felt a little more confident at protecting my flanks because of that. So here, in this first part of the battle, we're only fighting a very small enemy force because the main enemy force is coming in as reinforcements behind us. Now, I will inform you all that unfortunately, the footage of the rest of this battle got corrupted. I was able to save this much, and that is because I kind of screwed up with some of the formatting, and so I do apologize for that. It is a mistake on my part. I've taken precautions since this recording to prevent that in future, but we're actually coming up very closely on the end of where the footage I was able to salvage the footage, and from the rest of this on got corrupted. But as you see here, we do have our first unit of auxiliaries route, but we do very easily route this enemy force, and the rest of the battle is pretty straightforward. We turn our army around, and the AI-controlled reinforcing army just kind of swings around to face what's left of the force, and we outnumbered the enemy army that you can kind of see there in the background coming up behind us. We outnumbered them, I think, 2 to 1. Or close to it. Obviously, it was 2 of our decent-sized armies against one of their decent-sized armies. So it was a pretty straightforward battle, and we, of course, did win. And again, I do apologize for the lack of footage. And as you see, the footage picked up here later on, where it was the end of the turn. But we were able to beat the Britons in that battle. And at this point, I will tell you up front, I am stretching this episode a little bit thin. But again, I have my reasons for doing that, which you guys will see next episode. But here in North Africa, we have gotten our barracks up to the point where we can actually train legionaries. I actually don't believe we were able to train legionaries until more recently, when we started I actually realized that I couldn't train normal legionaries, so I actually prioritized getting a barracks, a legionary, or a legion barracks, I think it's called, there, that allows us to train legionary cohorts. And we are now going to be training up some troops in North Africa because, again, Roman Civil War is kind of at some point in the distance. Again, I'm not really sure when it will happen, but we are trying to prepare for that in our home territory in northern Italy. and as well as kind of a little bit farther north as well, you'll kind of see I start to try and get some more troops up along there, because we have a pretty large border with the Brutii in sort of like Germany, Sweden, not Sweden, Switzerland, like modern day Switzerland, Germany, Austria, Hungary, kind of in that region, sort of like Central Europe. The Brutii have a lot of the places to the east of us, so we're going to also kind of need to defend our eastern border all the way north as well. But again, also, as I said, in North Africa, we have to prioritize. I'm going to start prioritizing a little bit more, training up some forces in North Africa, because, of course, the Scipii are there, and we will, of course, end up in a war with the Scipii as well, because when you trigger the Roman Civil War, you fight all the other Romans. So, and here we will be capturing this Britain settlement, which is really, really awesome, and this actually will conclude the Northern Offensive. I kind of mentioned the past couple episodes that I will do it, but once we capture that settlement, that's going to kind of end the Northern Offensive, because at that point we're going to be kind of heading east rather than north when fighting the Britons. Now here, this was the army I initially was going to send far up north to reinforce the settlement that you see there. However, I opted to take out those rebels, and I'm actually going to use this army to eventually. I'm actually going to use this army kind of as our striking force against the Brutii right there. The Brutii controlled settlement directly east there. Now, obviously, again, that's a ways away, but at this point, the Britons are so weak compared to us and we're not at war with anyone else except the Britons and the Spanish. But the Spanish have only one settlement left, so I feel fairly confident that we're going to be able to take them. And the Britons are also down to only having a few provinces as well. So, all things considered, at this point, we really don't have to worry about either of those. They're not really a threat anymore. So at this point, again, I am going to just be prioritizing getting armies in position for when the Roman Civil War does happen, because it will happen. Again, we're not sure when exactly it will happen, but it is going to at some point, and potentially sooner. I mean, potentially sooner rather than later. Obviously, again, we don't know when exactly it will. It kind of depends when we're able to accumulate enough support among the masses, but you know, again, it's better to be prepared, or it's better to over-prepare than under-prepare. So, again, we do have a lot of units, quite a very expensive stacks of units here that aren't doing anything effectively. And also, as you can see there, I don't believe I've mentioned this in any of the previous episodes up until this point. We actually now have 3 almost full stacks of full armies at our capital. We have 3 of them, and those are kind of divided into. We have 2 kind of field armies, and then we have one that's our siege army, which has all the siege. That has like I don't remember how you pronounce it, but it's the catapults essentially. And so we have the one army that's the siege army, which we will actually use. That will be the army we send against Rome to capture it, and the rest of the armies are just going to be there to fight. Again, they're the field armies. They're just there to fight against the enemy's armies in the open field, and not they're not for taking well, of course they can take settlements, but any strongly defended settlements we will always try and have some catapults and stuff like that to help us breach the walls, because obviously a lot of the Roman settlements are going to have stone walls, which is a pretty big concern, because obviously having been on the defending side of stone walls, I know that they can be quite challenging, at least for the AI, and even for myself. I don't feel super confident against stone walls. I think it would more than likely result in a lot of casualties, and I will of course be trying to avoid that. So here right now we kind of gather the very minimal start of our army that we're going to use against the Spanish. We will be building this force up later on, and we're going to kind of send it a little to the east and use some of the units that we have in the settlement there that's kind of in the middle of Iberia. As you see there, we have a lot of units there available and ready to go, so we're going to get them together, rally them up as an army, and send them against the Spanish to finally finish them off. But again, that will take us several turns still to complete that project. Otherwise, as you see here, we basically just have kind of showcasing the empire. Over here, I feel that the weakest part of our empire is right here in North Africa. Excuse me. I feel that North Africa is our weakest point at this current time, so we will be trying to bolster it up. But here we go, capturing the Britain settlement. We have enough siege equipment done, auto-resolve, capture it, and our empire expands yet further. That is all we have for this episode. Be sure to check back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday for more Total War Through the Ages. And yeah, some interesting things will be happening next episode. As always, thank you all for watching.